Welcome back to TYT Sports. Francis Maxwell here with another fellow Scot and a professional football player, Allan Russell. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go straight into this debate, which is one that we have had on the show and been asked many questions. A lot of people have been asking us to cover more MLS action. I've been to a few games here. I've actually played a couple of scrimmages against a couple of MLS teams. I know you've played against a lot of them here. The big question is, what can the MLS do to try and be taken more seriously and be taken as seriously as the major leagues that we see in England, the English Premier League? Seems like a question that's just people would answer straight away saying, oh, it can never happen. I mean, the MLS isn't going to get there. But from your perspective, playing in both sides of the pond at a professional level, what is the difference for you, first of all?
Well, one of the main differences is, even coming from a grassroots level, when you're back in the UK, especially Premier League, people live, breathe and eat football.
Yeah.
In the States at the moment, even MLS level, you have people who'll go to an MLS match, but they'll also go to baseball, or they'll also go to football, and you'll have MLS players who'll also watch football and also watch whereas the European style and especially in the UK, players are studying the game. Yeah. When they're at home, they're studying their craft, which is football. Yeah. So in terms of the amount of minutes that are put into being a professional player, I think the UK at the moment and Europe are still leagues ahead. Yeah. In terms of the infrastructure here in the MLS, it is getting better, and the clubs are significantly improving everything, whether it's training grounds, whether it's stadiums. And looking at the MLS, the stadiums, everything, they all look great. Now, everyone involved in football or soccer here have to start to really push themselves and live the game. Yeah,
absolutely. The one point, when I've been to games here, when I go to an LA Galaxy game, I've always made this comparison. It seems like a carnival sort of thing. Both fans, it's like a family thing. Both fans mix in. Yeah. If the other team scores a goal, you're like, oh, good, that was a good goal, well done. Whereas it's Scotland. If you Celtic Rangers games, we've both been to many of them. You previously played for Rangers, right? Yeah. So if you sit next to a Rangers fan when they score, you believe that nothing good is gonna come out of congratulating another teammate or another fan if the other team scores. It doesn't happen that way, and I think that is both a blessing and a curse. Of course, there's a lot of football, a lot of violence that can take place, and we talk about this, but it's what makes the game beautiful in that aspect. Because if you go to a game and you're separated by fans, you're both so passionate to win, the players can grab that and they go in and play it, and it inspires their performance. Whereas in the United States, I have to say that I've noticed a big difference further north, in Portland, in Seattle. Those two seem to have a rivalry in their games. I think the fans in Seattle are just all sports fanatics, because as we see in the Seattle Seahawks, their stadium, the noise level is insane. They pack it. Whereas in the Portland Timbers, the Seattle Sounders, they do get a lot of fans there. So in terms of what you've played here, do you feel that that is an aspect that has to be taken more seriously, in terms of maybe like people just need to be more live and breathe the teams as well, and kind of support them more, to the point that you don't want to be mixing in with other fans. You want to be separate. You want to be with your fans.
Yeah, I mean, there's the competitive side of football in the UK, and as you say, you go to a Premier League match or you go to an MLS match, especially from a player's point of view. Yeah. A game in the UK is a nasty place to be. Yeah, exactly. In terms of the abuse you're going to get from opposing fans. Yeah. Whereas I've played against MLS teams, NASL teams, and as you say, it's the carnival atmosphere. Yeah. And although that is good for younger kids and stuff, eventually there'll come a point, and hopefully when they eventually have relegation and promotion, that the real competitive heart and soul will bring itself forward in American soccer. That's another factor that we've spoken about. We've had conversations about this before. In the UK, in any league, you can work your way up. You can, if you're a third division team, no matter how far-fetched it may seem, you could get to the English Premier League. You could get there if your team worked hard enough to get there and get promoted. Like you playing for the OC Blues in a lower division below the MLS, still a great division, competitive, but does it? I mean, you don't have the aspect of getting to the MLS unless it's all down to funding, right? It's all down to the money you can get to perhaps play in MLS, and that takes away from the aspect of competitiveness, because you can win the competition, great award,
fantastic. It's a great achievement, but you want to be able to get a shot at these bigger teams, and you want to be able to get in to play against teams like that. And in Scotland and England, and any division in Europe, they all have upper like relegation, demotion. I try to describe it to one of my friends, one of the co-workers in here. They're like, when's the playoffs then? Like, what do you mean you go down a division? And I'm just like, you go down a division if you can't hack it in the top division, and that's what makes it so competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it really does, and it makes it life or death. Yeah. And the most interesting part of any season in the UK is when you come to the end. You've got the winners of the Premier League, and more importantly, probably one of the most exciting games in the whole world is the Championship playoff game. The 50, 60 million, I think it might even be more now.
I think it is. I think it's up to $72 million.
It's like a $75 million game, and one of my ex-teammates and friends, Craig Bryson, actually played in that game this year with Derby County, and they were very unfortunate to go through. But these are the games that they not only capture the spirit of the Derby fans and the opposing team, which was QPR. I think, but it captures the imagination of the whole of the UK. Yeah. And America need to now get to the point where they're not only capturing their fans, they're capturing the whole nation. Yeah. And one way to get that is, and listen, finances dictate everything in sport and in life, but what you've got with the UK leagues is a team who may not have the finances and may not have the backing of a billionaire, with a good coach, good scouting and good players, they can still have the fairy tale adventure of working themselves from the third division to the Premiership. And you can't get that anywhere else. You can't get that here. Yeah. So, yeah, if they can start to bring in the promotion relegation, it will change the face of soccer here.
Well, I mean, that's the point to close it on, because that is the biggest factor. I think that's the one that has to be encouraged here. But as you said, money speaks volumes, and if you've not got the money to get into the MLS, then you don't get in the MLS. So thanks again, Allan Russell. Great perspective on that, and we'll bring you more coverage on this issue in the future. Don't forget to subscribe to TYT Sports. Don't forget to check out Allan's training program, DominateSoccerTraining.com, which is in the description below. Details to find Allan on Twitter @DominateSoccer, Instagram @DominateSoccer, Dominate Soccer Training. @Dominate Soccer Training on Instagram, and make sure to check out, there's tons of good videos on there, a lot of tips that you can get, and if you want the real thing, make sure to go to the website at DominateSoccerTraining.com, and make sure just to subscribe to everything that you've seen here, because this is a lot of good football. Just keep talking, just keep talking, just keep talking. Okay, done.